Hello! So, a few days ago somebody sent me an email asking if I might do a flight between two major airports in the simulator using one of the big jets with full air traffic service throughout the flight using either SayIntentions or Beyond ATC to demonstrate both the radio telephony and what you can expect to experience in terms of the handoffs between the controllers and so on and so forth. So that's exactly what we're going to do this evening. So for probably the last time for some time, we're going to fly from Stansted in London up to Edinburgh Airport in Scotland. I've done this flight on numerous beginners guides to the various aeroplanes, so it's a well-known flight. There's lots in the flight plan to talk about in terms of ATC and the routing. And there's also a discontinuity in the end where hopefully we'll get vectors which will give us a nice story to talk around if SayIntentions, as we're going to use, gives us the story to tell. So let's go and jump inside the aeroplane. First thing we need to do is file the flight plan, and I've already done that in SimBrief. So you can see there's the plan. It's going to do runway 04 at Stansted, the UTAV 1S standard instrument departure, the INP1E arrival into Edinburgh, and then runway 06. So you can see all of that in Navigraph as well. So I've penciled it all in. And we can see it again in little nav maps, so we get to see both along the way. Let's just close that down so we get a bigger view of the display. So there we are, sat on the ground at Stansted. So we've got SayIntentions running in the background. It thinks I am an aircraft called Virtual 073. Okay, and I'm sat on the radio check frequency at the moment. If you've not seen SayIntentions before, it's quite clever. So if we go and get the aircraft powered up, then I'll explain why. If we go and switch the batteries on, and then turn the external power on, and then scroll down and go and put the dome lights on bright, because I think it's going to get dark during the flight. So you can see the various screens are booting up around the aircraft, but most importantly for us, we have the comm radio. Now, SayIntentions has this nice trick where it shows you the local airport information within its client, and it shows you all the frequencies of the different radio channels. So you've got ATC and centre, radar, clearance, centre, and different centre. Actually, they're showing the same frequency. Ramp, SkyOps, ground, CPDLC, I wonder what that is. CTAF, which is Common Traffic Advisory Frequency, radio check, and tower, obviously. So we're going to go to clearance in a moment. So when I click on this frequency, rather than me having to tune the frequencies in, I can just click on them and it puts them straight in for me, which is a huge time saver. Also, as instruction is read to me by the air traffic controllers, we'll see the text version in the window here. You can turn the level up in SayIntentions so that doesn't happen. But for anybody starting out, it's a real boon because you can go and refer to it rather than trying to scribble down on paper what the controller has told you, which is what the real crew would do. Okay, so we are going to talk to clearance and get our clearance for our flight, which I have already filed through SimBrief. Okay, so all I have to do is call clearance, tell them who we are, what our intentions are, and also give them the weather that we understand is current. So we have to go to ATIS first. So I'm going to select ATIS and it will start playing immediately.
Transition level
the important thing for us is that it's information Oscar. That describes this set of information. Okay, so let's go back to clearance. Information Oscar is the important thing for us. Stansted clearance, Virtual 073. Requesting clearance for flight to Edinburgh as filed with information Oscar.
1 second while I grab the paperwork.
So if we pull up you'll see what I was on about the transcript appearing in the window for SayIntentions.
Virtual 073. Information Oscar is current. Cleared to Edinburgh via the Utah 1 Sierra departure, then as filed. Departure runway 4. Initial climb to 4,000. Departure on 120.62, 5 squawk, 5252.
Cleared to Edinburgh via the UTAV 1 Sierra departure, then as filed, departure runway 4, initial climb 4,000, departure on 120.625, squawk 5252, virtual 073. So you'll notice there I identify myself on an answer after the transmission. Now they'll come back and confirm if I've got it right. Well, that's the hope.
073. Read back correct. Ground will be on 121.73.
Okay, we don't need to respond to that. They're just giving us information. So we can tune to ground now if we want. But we need to go and put this squawk code straight in so we don't forget and set the initial climb altitude. So 5252. So the transponder is over here. So we'll clear what's in here at the moment and put in 5252. Okay, we don't need to turn it on yet. Should we get this handle out of the way as well? We've got this one out of the way this side. Okay, so our initial climb we were cleared for is 4,000 feet as well. So we'll go and do that while we're here. Just put the number in. We don't have to worry about the mode. We'll come back to that as part of the pre-flight. So we are done talking to clearance. We've already tuned into ground 121.73. We can check down here. Look, there's our active frequency. We don't need to talk to them until we're ready to push back and start the engines. So we can just get on with what we're doing for the moment. So, going to go overhead. We've already got the power on. We've already got the external power connected. We're going to go and put the strobes to auto. The Navan logo goes to 2. Master start switch for the APU goes to on, and the start switch goes to on.
Ryanair 2 Delta Foxtrot, contact tower on 123.805, safe flight.
And then we can go and turn the crew supply of oxygen on. We can arm the emergency exit lights. We can go and set the inertial reference systems to navigation mode. We can go and put the no smoking sign to auto. I missed that a moment ago. And then back down in the cockpit we can go and check the brightnesses. I think we're going to be fine. We might want to tone them down a bit later on when it gets dark. So then we can go over to the tablet and we can get our flight details. So the tablet is already configured through the options with my SimBrief pilot ID, so I can press SimBrief, and here comes our flight information from Stansted to Edinburgh, with an alternate of Newcastle by the look of it. So once we've done that, we can go to payload and we can pull the payload down from SimBrief and apply it to the airplane. We'll do it instantly. And then we'll take note of the live gross weight, which is 63 tons, and we go into takeoff. We put 63 tons into the weight calculator. We synchronize the weather information and the runway choices and go calculate. And it comes up with our V-speeds for the performance calculations for the aircraft, and we can send that straight across to the computer. So it'll be ready for us when we're programming the route in. So then we press Alt and 2 and we jump across to the tablet, and we can do an init request to pull the flight plan in. And there it comes. So we can clear out any messages that have arrived on the MCDU while we were looking elsewhere. We can go right on this screen now. We can go and populate the fuel and do fuel planning. So the aeroplane goes and does some maths and checks things out, and then we can confirm the block fuel, and all the numbers will populate after a second or two. Well, that's the hope. And then we can go over to, so we've done the, I'm just looking at my checklist to make sure I don't miss anything. Always use a checklist. So we've done fuel planning, block fuel. Yeah, we're going to go and do the flight plan next. So flight plan is next. So we're going to say how we're going to depart from Stansted. So we go and look at our flight plan. There's Stansted, runway 04 and the UTAV 1 Sierra standard instrument departure. So departure from Stansted, runway 04 and the UTAV 1 Sierra departure, and insert that into our flight plan. How are we going to arrive at Edinburgh? In P1E star into runway 06. So we select Edinburgh, select arrival, ILS for runway 06, and the in P1E standard terminal arrival route, and insert that into the flight plan. And then we're going to scroll down. So we've got a discontinuity at the end of the SID. That's normal in this aeroplane. It's a bug. We're going to scroll further down and we'll see, hopefully, another... No, we don't see another discontinuity. That's interesting. But we know there is one after the Trent VOR. So if we go and have a look at Navigraph, not Trent, sorry, after the Tartan waypoint, there's this discontinuity. So at this point, I think we'll get vectors. But we'll find out. We'll see what SayIntentions does with it. It may surprise us. It may be amazing at it. So we've done that. Next we do performance data. So we're just going to confirm the takeoff data, and that populates the screen. So you can see there's our rotate speeds. We've got flaps 1 and trim up 0.7. We can't trim just yet because you can't move the trim before you've got hydraulic power, so you need the engines running first. But before we do anything else, let's go and look at the FGCP, or Flight Guidance Control Panel, and we'll turn the flight directors on both sides. We'll also go and press comma to calibrate the altimeter, or altimeters. Once you've got the flight directors on, it should allow managed mode if you've got the flight programmed, and we have. So we've got managed speed, managed heading, and managed altitude mode. Okay, so Alt and 1 takes us overhead. We're going to go and put the seatbelt sign on, make everybody sit down. We're going to put the external power to off now because the APU has been running for some time while we've been talking. And then we're going to go down here into the tablet, go to ground, remove the GPU from the aircraft, and we are ready to push back. So our next transmission is to talk to ground. So did we already tune ground in? So ground is on 12173 and we are on 12173. Stansted ground, virtual 073, requesting pushback and start. So if we go and look at the diagram of the airport as well. There we are. Are they going to come back to us today? Stansted ground, virtual 073, requesting pushback and start.
Virtual 073, pushback and start approved, face northwest.
So they need us to face northwest, so our tail needs to go to our left. Okay, so in order to do that, we're going to first of all repeat that back to them, almost forgot. Start approved, face northwest, virtual 073. So yeah, we're going to press Alt and P to push us back. I'm leaving the parking brake on for a moment, and then we'll release it once the truck is in place. We're going to make sure we're ready in the cockpit if it lets me move the mouse to it. We're going to get ready to hit the left button if it goes the wrong way. Hopefully it won't. Hopefully it will push the tail to the left. So wait for it to snap into place. There it goes. Take the parking brake off. It's going the wrong way. So we want it to go left, because we want to face northwest, which is that way. So you can start the engines during the pushback. We're not going to. We're going to wait and just do things in a nice methodical manner, step by step. Then I get to talk and bore you to tears. We're doing it. Okay, so it should stop the pushback all on its own, and it has.
Contact tower on 123.805. Have a good afternoon.
So parking brake back on, and then the truck will pull away from us. And we can look at starting the engines. So starting the engines in the Airbus is very straightforward.
Ground, good.
APU is up and running already. We put the APU bleed on.
Yeah, November 451 Tango Kilo is...
we go and turn the ignition
20,
system to start.
Crest IFR clearance.
And then if you watch the numbers up here, we're going to advance. Starter for engine number 2, and up it comes.
Easy 82 Echo Yankee, contact tower on 123.805.
So once the engine number 2 is up, we'll get more power to the systems because the power will transfer. The bus transfer will transfer automatically to
Tower
the engine generators.
805, Easy 82 Echo Yankee, thank you.
And then we'll be able to play games with trimming the aircraft out, because obviously once you've got an engine running, you're going to get hydraulic pressure and the controls will start to work. We need to put the fuel pumps on, I almost forgot. We'll do that before the engine gets there and starts complaining about it. Again, I went off script, off of the... you can tell I've gone off script. Look, I should have put the beacon light on as well. So we'll try and get back on script, shall we? We can, while we're firing the engines up, we can put the taxi lights on as well, because everybody else has got away from us. So it's asking about predictive wind shear. Engine number 2 is running, so engine number 1 can be started. So while we're waiting for that, predictive wind shear can be done, so that's here. We can also go and arm the ground spoilers by pulling the lever up. And we can remember we needed to go and trim by up 0.7. So we should be able to do it now. There we go. So that's about 0.7, and that will make sure we'll be in equilibrium as we roll down the runway. So we won't be pushing the nose into the floor or lifting it off the floor as we accelerate to flying speed. Okay, TCAS. Let's go and have a look at TCAS just to make sure. So we'll put it on TA mode. We'll turn it onto auto. We'll switch it. We'll have to move around the switch to get to it. Switch it to on. And we're getting there. So engine's up and running. So we can turn the ignition to norm. We can also go and turn the APU bleed off now and the APU off. And we're getting there slowly. So we can put we've got the taxi lights on. Just checking around some of the switches, make sure we're looking good. And we are ready to taxi. So let's go and remind ourselves what our route is doing. So departure runway 04, initial climb 4000. So we need to taxi to runway 04. Okay. So we're going to go and talk to ground again. So on the same frequency that we were previously. Stansted ground, virtual 073. Virtual 073, requesting taxi runway 04. So. SayIntentions, because it uses AI, will handle misspoken commands.
073, taxi to runway 04 via Bravo West, Bravo, Hotel, Kilo.
Taxi to runway 4 via Bravo West, Hotel, and Kilo, 073. So we go through Bravo, along Hotel, and come off at Kilo.
Ryanair 46 Whiskey Alpha is ready for taxi.
So we are ready to taxi, we can go.
Ryanair 46 Whiskey Alpha, Stansted ground, start up and pushback approved, face northwest.
So I'll turn the head tracking on.
Negative, Ryanair 46 Whiskey
This has a habit of coming on because there's a click spot
runway.
behind the tablet. So we'll
Taxi to runway 22 via
leave this on the OFP while we're flying.
Ryanair 46 Whiskey Alpha.
So we just taxi down to runway 04 now. Dark in a hurry, isn't it? May turn the brightness down on the dome light. It's going to be a pretty takeoff, isn't it? Ah, we've gone wrong. I wonder if we'll get called out for it. We should have carried on straight on there. We've gone to the next junction. Let's see if it pulls us up for it. So we should be on the hotel taxiway. We are not. We're on Juliet. So we'll correct our mistake. Ground control is probably looking out the window at us, shaking their head right now. But I've got all the other traffic switched off in the sim, so it's not going to get in our way anyway. There's a story to tell around that I can't tell you yet about traffic in the sim. I suppose I can tell you because the press notices have gone out, but I've got early access to SayIntentions. But I can't say much about it other than it's going to be great. They're going to be injecting traffic into the sim. They've done the press release already. And also that other traffic that's injected in will have full ATC coverage. So you'll be sequenced in, with everybody else with proper separation and all the rest of it. It's going to be great fun. So we're just taxiing out to runway 04. So we're carrying on down to the Kilo intersection on the runway. So when we get to the runway, we will hold short. I wouldn't be surprised if they hand us off to the tower. If not, we will just get to, there's a kind of an unspoken understanding. Once you get to the hold point, you don't have to communicate to ground that you've got there. You can just switch straight to the tower frequency and announce where you are. So you can see the checklist has come up here on the display of things to do. So we need to go and put flaps to 1 for takeoff. We need to go and put auto brake on max. And we need to do the takeoff config test. So I think we're just approaching Kilo. Oh no, this is Lima. Kilo is the next one.
Stansted ground, good evening, FDX323, we'd request taxi department, please.
FDX323 Stansted ground taxi departing at your discretion. Good day.
Thanks very much, FDX323.
I'm going to turn the brightness down on those lights. So this is Kilo.
073, contact tower on 123.805.
So there you go, we've just been told. So we won't respond to him just yet because we are manoeuvring and our concerns come before theirs. So aviate, navigate, communicate. So telling them what we're doing comes last. We heard them, so we'll hold short so that we can just repeat back now then. Contacting tower 123.805, virtual 073. So we've now clicked on the frequency which changes us to 123.805, which is tower. Stansted tower, virtual 073, holding short runway 04. They will know exactly who we are.
Virtual 73, Stansted tower, runway 4, wind 105 at 14, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 04, copy the weather, virtual 073. So we'll roll out onto the runway. Oh, we've been given immediate clearance, so obviously there's no other aeroplanes around. So landing lights come on. Strobe light goes to on. And we're looking pretty good. The nose light goes to takeoff, so you get lit up like a Christmas tree. Look at that runway, isn't it pretty? So, the one thing left for us to do, I'm going to turn head tracking off for a moment to do this. So we've got this thing, the takeoff config test. I'm going to go and press it, and it's normal, which means we've done everything. So flaps are in position, lights are on, everything's programmed up, ready to go. Come off the parking brake, ease the throttles forwards to toga. Auto throttle has switched on automatically, so we just keep an eye on the indicated airspeed ribbon. Hold a bit of left rudder. We've got a little bit of a crosswind going on, I think. So we need 145 knots for rotation, or just under 145. So rotate. Yeah, there is a bit of a crosswind, so gear up. Pull it into about a 15-degree climb. And autopilot on. We're going to keep throttle on toga for a while, and then keep the flaps in for a while. There we go, and the nose is coming down after it does an immediate steep departure, and then it levels out a bit. So then it will start accelerating. This is why it's important to keep it on toga for a while. So we'll get handed off fairly swiftly by tower.
Contact departure on 120.625 arms, flight says.
Contacting departure 120.625. Good day. Stansted departures, virtual 073, departing runway 04 en route to Edinburgh as filed. So flaps can come up. And the throttles can come back to
radar,
climb
identified, now. Clear direct D 09&9G, climb flight level 200.
Cleared direct D09&9G, climb flight level 200, virtual 073. So that's on our route anyway, D099G. So then we need to go straight to 20,000 feet. We disregard. So we're going to climb. We disregard any constraints along the way. So we click the bottom half of this, not the top half. We're doing an open climb. So this is a bit of a nuanced thing actually. If you are given instruction to go to an altitude by ATC, you do it, you forget but only on climb. Also on departure, you follow their instruction in terms of altitude. On descent, you follow their instruction down to an altitude, but you continue to follow your constraints. But on climb, you don't. So we've just gone through the transition altitude, so we're going to change over to standard barometric pressure on the altimeters. Next marker for us is for, we're holding 250 knots below 10,000 feet. So then when we come through 10,000 feet, we go and put the landing lights on. In fact, we can go and turn these dome lights off now. It is handy having them though, isn't it? For your purposes more than mine, to be honest. So you can see what's happening inside the cockpit. There are lots of lights we can command to switch on and off to brighten things up or darken things. But it's useful for you to see clearly what's going on. Okay, coming up through 10,000 feet, so landing lights come off.
Virtual 073, climb flight level 270.
Climbing flight level 270, virtual 073. Okay, so we then just do open climb up to flight level 270. So yeah, I got into reading about this a while ago, about the difference between departure and arrival. So on departure you disregard the constraints, and if ordered to do so. On arrival you maintain the constraints unless specifically ordered not to. So let's increase the range on the navigation display, and we'll also go and switch this over to TARA mode. Now we're away from the airport. So the difference between TA and TARA is TA the aircraft will broadcast its location. TARA, the autopilot will respond to other aircraft coming into close proximity with us. So you can see, if we had been following constraints, we'd have been at 5,000 feet now. We're at 12,000. We are going for it.
Stansted radar, Golf Delta Charlie Kilo Kilo, request basic service. Golf Delta Charlie Kilo Kilo, Cessna 172, Wattisham to Luton VFR, request basic service.
Virtual 073, contact London Control on 128.48.
At our 12 o'clock, about 17 kilometers away, we can...
Contacting London Control 128.48, Virtual 073.
Known for its budget airline services. It opened in 1938 and played a significant role during World War II as a base for the Royal Air Force. Today, it's a bustling hub for travelers heading to various destinations across Europe and beyond. The airport's
so we're going to go into
London
intercom, go to channel 2 and turn the tour guide off. And then we're going to announce to London Control what we're doing. London Control, Virtual 073 with you, climbing to flight level 270 en route to Edinburgh as filed.
Virtual 073, climb flight level 330.
Climbing flight level 330, Virtual 073.
073, London Control identified. Good evening.
And that's it. We're done. That was a bit odd then, that it made two transmissions out of that, instead of just giving it in the one combined instruction. But SayIntentions is getting better and better as time goes on. You'll now get the controllers chasing you if you do something wrong, which is quite cool. So if you haven't followed an instruction in a timely manner, they will go after you for it. So let's just go and check around. We've got the lights off now. Seatbelts are still on at the moment. We could probably take them off, to be honest. Normally you wouldn't until you get to cruise for the passengers, but we're going to be nice to them today. It's all fairly calm and serene up here, isn't it? I should do night flights more, they're very pretty. Sequence of lights is amazing, isn't it? And the reflections and the ambient lighting from them. Okay. So now we are on London Control, or essentially radar, or centre. There's not going to be much to do until we get to top of descent. So I'm going to pause recording at this point, and I'll catch you again. I don't think we'll be handed off again. We can check that actually on little nav map. If we zoom out on our route and we go and show the sectors, yeah, it's complicated in the UK, isn't it? But this is all
climb flight level 340.
Climb flight level 340, Virtual 073. So they're giving us basically more and more clearance to altitude as we climb, even though we're nowhere near it yet. So we can turn the constraints off. We're not going to need those until we are on descent. Increase the range even further. You see there's the Trent VOR.
London Control, Golf Alpha Whiskey India Yankee, reaching, maintaining flight level 180, good evening.
Golf Alpha Whiskey India Yankee, London Control, identified. Good evening. Ryanair 31 Zulu Hotel, climb flight level 400.
Negative, maintaining flight level 390, Ryanair 31 Zulu Hotel.
Interesting. That was an aircraft refusing to change flight level. I wonder what the rules are around that. So yes, as I said, this part of the flight is going to be tremendously boring. So let's go and check the SimBrief flight plan. So yeah, 34,000 feet is our cruise altitude as planned. So it should. I doubt we're going to have any further instruction until we get to top of descent. What we could do ahead of time before we get there is go and clear this information out. If we go back to performance in here, so go to next phase, next phase, next phase, we can put the destination data in for Edinburgh. So if we go into the information for Edinburgh, open the airport, go to the weather, and then we can say we want to put in the QNH is going to be 1012. So 1012 into the scratch pad, drop it into QNH. Temperature is 8 degrees on the ground. Wind is 60 degrees at 12 knots. And decision height. So let's go and have a look. Flying this route in, the decision altitude, if we're doing Cat 3, which we've got the capability to do, will be 50 feet. So we can put 50 feet into the radio. We will be using full flaps, so that's all done. So we haven't got a lot to do now until we're way further down the road. Can we see the moon? Oh, we can see the sun going down over there. I don't know if the moon's in the sky this evening. No, probably not. Okay, I'm going to pause recording now and I'll be back with you for top of descent. See you in a bit.
Virtual 073, expect the MP1 Echo arrival. Descent in about 15 minutes. Say the word if you want to descend sooner.
That's interesting, isn't it? So every time I try to go and pause, something happens. Expecting the NP1E arrival. Descend in about 15 minutes. Will contact you if I need to descend sooner. Virtual 073, thank you. So you don't strictly have to respond to things like that. I could have just gone back with Wilco or similar wording. Okay, I really am going to go and disappear now for a bit. So let's go and put the range out. So we've got about 150 miles until top of descent. So you obviously don't want to sit and listen to me blather on for the next half an hour waiting for that. So I really am going to go pause it now. Okay, I'm back. So I thought we'd come back. We're a little way away from top of descent, but you never know. ATC might call us down earlier. So as you will see, I have been playing with the lighting. So I've tuned the lighting inside the cabin to be a bit better for the evening. So in order to do that, you've got controls all over the place actually. So there's a floodlight over there. There's a couple over here. There's the display. Brightnesses are here, of course. There's the eCam display brightnesses. There's the two knobs underneath the glare shield that control the backlighting of various things. There's the dome lighting up here. There's the overhead integral lighting. There's knobs everywhere for all of the lighting, so you can balance it out to your heart's content. So we're just anticipating it getting darker and darker, so we should be good to go. We're about 50 miles maybe from top of descent at the moment, so we are zeroing in on it. And it'd be interesting to see what happens with the air traffic control, particularly when we get to Tartan, to see what happens. So let's go double check the weather at Edinburgh, make sure it's still as we thought it was going to be. So we'll come back out of here, go to airports again, go to reopen Edinburgh, open the airport, go back to the weather again, because I don't think there's a refresh button, it's a bit of a shame. 1013, let's go and have a look. So if we go to performance, and next 1013, yeah, it's gone up 1, so temperature is 8 degrees still, 60 degrees and 12, 70 degrees 13, So the wind is slowly getting up and turning, but it's not broadly different than it was before. Transition altitude doesn't look right. Is it 5,000 feet? So this is the ILS chart. 6,000 feet.
Cleared in P1. Echo arrival into Edinburgh.
So SayIntentions has come to us. Look, cleared in P1. Echo arrival into Edinburgh. Virtual 073. So we don't actually need to start descending just yet. We can follow on plan. So we will just put our target altitude in, and then tell the aeroplane to start doing it. So if we go and have a look at that arrival chart before we get to top of descent, we need to be at 260 by the time we get to INPIP, then at 200 at INREV, and then flight level 070 at Tartan. And beyond that, we're going to lean on ATC to tell us what to do. So we're going to go and tune in 7,000 feet. Program in, I should say, 7,000 feet on the altitude. We're not going to select it yet though. Although we could go a little bit early. It's tempting, isn't it? We're still 30 miles out though from the top of descent. So you can see us approaching. So if we put some constraints in, if we increase the range on this, you'll see the constraints kicking in. So INPIP at flight level 260, INREV at 200, ESCDO 250 knots, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's go and put the flight plan page back up, because it gives us lots of useful information about, again, the constraints and the speeds we're expecting and the altitudes. So the idea being, we can go to 7,000 feet and then just hit the managed descent. So push the knob in, and it will cause the aeroplane to...
Descent flight level 280.
That was for us, wasn't it? Descending flight level 280, virtual 073. So they're going to manage our descent, by the look of it. So we'll come down. So they're bringing us down a little bit early, because we're going to get to that before we get to a constraint.
073. Contact Scottish Control on 128.055.
Contacting Scottish Control 128.055, virtual 073. Scottish Control, virtual 073, on our way to Edinburgh as filed, descending to flight level 280.
Virtual 73, Scottish Control, identified. Good evening.
That's it. So they haven't given us any further instruction other than that at the moment. So unless they tell us to do anything different, unless they tell us anything different, we're going to carry on down to 7 like we were before, and we're going to do a managed descent to 7,000 feet. I guess doing this textbook, we should have told Control what approach we are doing.
Whiskey November Delta, climb and maintain flight level 270.
But then they've got the flight plan on file, so they can see for themselves what we're doing. So we're aiming for 7,000 feet at Tartan, following the constraints.
Descend flight level 200.
Descend flight level 200, 073. So that's 20,000 feet. So they're giving us permission to get to 20,000 feet. So the fuel transfer has just kicked in. That's absolutely normal. That's interesting. Oh no, they did say flight level 200. Yeah, okay. Somehow in my head I converted it and remembered that they had said 20,000, but they hadn't. It was flight level 200. Okay, so seeing as we're descending, we may as well go and tell the passengers to go and put their seatbelts back on. I'm going to sit down. It'd be interesting to see what happens after Tartan. Because after Tartan, there's a gap in the flight plan and you would expect vectors. Because there's no way you would make that turn for 06. I'd be expecting to turn out on a vector. So it'll be really interesting to see if SayIntentions wades in and starts giving us vectors at that point.
Virtual 073, descend flight level 070.
Descending flight level 070, virtual 073. Yeah, so it's falling into plan. They're just clearing us down along the way. Should we have a look outside? So we've got a 33 knot tailwind at the moment. We're whistling along. So the airplane will start descending a bit quicker in a moment because we came down quite early, but now we're catching back up with the profile. So it's pulling the throttles back to idle, look, and it's dropping the nose now to match the descent profile.
Control, easy 16 Delta Kilo, flight level 320. Easy 16 Delta Kilo, Scottish Control identified. Good evening.
Scottish Control, easy 16 Delta Kilo, we're ready to begin our descent. Descending flight level 240, easy 16 Delta Kilo.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we get transferred over to Edinburgh approach at some point. Now we're falling behind the descent profile. You see the green dot here? So I'm going to go and extend the spoilers to help the airplane. And again, we're going to be descending and dropping to 250 knots as well along the way. A bit different than when we flew in the other day, isn't it? Okay, let's take those spoilers away. Don't think we need them at the moment. Although look at that, with speeds creeping up without them. Can't quite make the descent profile, probably because of that tailwind maybe, I don't know. Yeah, because our journey over the ground, look, we're being pushed along. So we're not quite able to make the descent profile we would like to. We're getting a warning now about the speed brake being out continually, which is fine. It's not a full-on warning light coming on, it's just a reminder. the range down again on the display here. Let's get a decent range on the co-pilot side as well, for in a moment when we'll need to perhaps use both. So we should be dropping to 250 knots in a moment, so I'm ready to go and throw the spoilers out even further. So you'll see the target airspeed drop off. So we've got an altitude constraint is kicking in. Flight level 200, here it is, look. And it's going to go, we're lifting the nose look to go and hit the 250 knot constraint. So we're going to help the airplane do it. So spoilers are all the way out now. At the approach to Esco, we've got 250, we're at 280 at the moment. It's not going to do it, is it? It's going to come through too fast. Despite our best efforts. There we go, the speed constraint has just kicked in. So will it lift the nose to do it?
Diamond 6 Romeo Bravo and the traffic.
There's not much else we can do at this point. We've got the speed brakes aimed.
Good evening, this is Delta 45 at flight level 270.
Delta 45, Scottish Control identified. Good evening.
So a lot might happen quite quickly.
073, descend flight level 050, turn left, heading 295 vectors for the ILS runway 6 approach.
Descend flight level 050, turn left, heading 295 vectors for the ILS runway 6 approach. Virtual 073. So, descend to 050 and turn left, heading 295 vectors. So 295. We do as we're told, basically. So we're into selected heading mode. So rather than go out to Tartan, they're cutting our journey short.
Contact Edinburgh approach on 121.205.
Contacting Edinburgh approach 121.205, virtual 073. Good day. Edinburgh approach, virtual 073, approaching for runway 06. Given instruction for heading 295, descending flight level 050.
Virtual 073, expect the ILS runway 6 approach into Edinburgh.
Expecting runway 06 approach into Edinburgh, virtual 073. But we didn't strictly have to answer that. So you can see here what we're planning to do. They're going to give us quite a long run in, aren't they? But we'll wait for vectors. See if they give us any more. So we'll take the spoilers away, we don't need them. So we're approaching 10,000 feet. So transition altitude 6,000 feet, at which point we will change over to 1013 hectopascals. Have a look from outside. The hills. They look awesome at night, don't they? Well, in the evening, I should say. It's not too late yet. This is really good that we've been given vectors, because yeah, it makes it that much more fun for us to have stuff to do rather than just blindly follow the route in, as so often happens with
Virtual 073, proceed direct CI06. Descend altitude 4,000 until established on the localizer, cleared for the ILS runway 6 approach.
So let's respond to him first. Proceed direct CI06, descend at 4,000 feet until established on the localizer, cleared for ILS runway 6 approach, Virtual 073. So we go straight to CI06. Direct CI06. And we clear the message there. And that's interesting. Why is it not letting us do it? Does the airplane, can this airplane not do this? Insert. There we go. So then we go back to managed mode and we drop this to 4,000 feet. So proceed direct CI06, descend 4,000 feet until established on the localizer. So we're going to go and check the radio frequencies now. So pull up the ILS chart. 108.9, 60 degrees. Let's go double check that in the systems. So radio navigation. 108.9, then we've got 59 degrees, good as. And then we can see the routing coming there. So we'll drop this back to 20 miles now. We're 8,000 feet at descending. We're going to use the spoilers. It's starting to speed up and we don't want it to. This airplane has a habit of flying 10 knots above the target airspeed, which is unfortunate. We're below 10,000 feet now, so landing lights can come on. Look outside. Oh, they just come on, look. They're bright lights, aren't they? So, Edinburgh Airport is out that way somewhere, isn't it? We're too far away to see it yet. Let's arrange the camera to have a nice view at least as we come in. So speed brake to come off. So as soon as we got the direct to instruction, we programmed it in. The thing that wasn't obvious, you do direct to, then you have to go back to the legs page to execute it. So it's saying speed limit exceeded. That's because of this terrible flight computer. So we want 1013, wasn't it? Is the local barometric pressure. There we go. So we're aiming for 4,000 feet, look, which is the entry into the approach. There's the airport appearing on the edge of the navigation display. Let's get the spoilers out again, help it slow down. Trying to get trying to stay at 250 knots, but it's not doing such a great job at it. See the windmills there in the dark with their lights on top to warn that they are there. Okay, we're at 4,000 feet, so come off the spoilers. And the target airspeed has just dropped through the floor. So we can't do that just yet. We have to wait for 230 knots to go for flaps.
Delta Whiskey. Contact Scottish Control on 133.2.
Contact Scottish Control 133.2. Piper 390 Delta Whiskey, thank you.
Commanded for 1. We can go for flaps 2
Scottish
at 200 knots.
390 Delta Whiskey, 5,000 feet, 1.3 nautical miles from intercept. Currently IFR to Aberdeen today.
Looks cool, doesn't it?
Virtual 073, contact Edinburgh Tower on 118.705.
Contacting Edinburgh Tower 118.705, virtual 073. Good day. Edinburgh Tower, virtual 073, approaching runway 06.
Virtual 73, Edinburgh Tower, wind 070 at 13. Runway 6, cleared to land.
Runway 6, cleared to land. Copy the weather, virtual 073. So we can go full flaps at 177 knots, so we can do that now. And the gear can come down. And if we keep an eye on this, if we put landing system on, we're just below the glide slope. So we can go approach mode. You can only capture the glide slope from below it. There's the runway out there. Let's go and put the landing lights, also the nose lights to takeoff mode, which is the brightest setting. And there we go. Whoa, that's bright, isn't it? So we sit up in the cockpit so we can actually see this. Actually, it's better to be in the cockpit position, isn't it? If we press Alt 8 and 7, go to head tracking for a little while, we can have a look around. See the city lights. It does look cool at night, doesn't it? I should do night flights more. So we're descending on the glide slope. It's all looking good. So we can turn off the constraints. We can turn the distance down. There's a heck of a crosswind, look, 30 knots at the moment, hopefully closer to the ground, that's not quite that bad. Look at the crab angle of the aeroplane.
2,500.
So I'm just putting up Edinburgh. If we hover over it with the mouse, you'll see it as well. So 13 knots at the ground, on the ground level. So I didn't let this auto land the other day, and someone was asking could I let it do it. So what you can do once you're stabilised on approach is enable both autopilots at the same time. You can see Cat 3 dual is lit up on the primary flight display. And then that will convert over to flare mode when we're a bit closer, so it should. Although it seems to land it quite heavily.
November 7723. Golf, Edinburgh Tower, roger. Continue
So if you remember, our last communication was cleared to land, so we shouldn't have any further communication. We're coming straight in. So it's saying here about signs on in the cabin, and the spoilers should be armed again. So we'll go do that. The cabin signs should happen all on their own. But we're stabilised, and yeah, it's pretty easy going from here on. Turn off that nose light. It's lighting the air up and we can't actually see where we're going so well. There's a screenshot of the week. just feels so strange to me. So did we put all the signs on? Seatbelts are on. Yeah, it's all good. I don't know why it's still saying check. There's not much we can do about that. Not from here anyway. Here we go, it's done it now. So you can see the PAPI lights agree completely with the glide slope. And the wind has dropped, yeah, to 13 knots, which is what it said. So the local wind wasn't quite as bad as a few thousand feet up. Seeing as we're on autopilot, let's have a look at this from outside and see what it does with it. It is dealing with some turbulence, you can see it moving. So we're going to be ready to go for reverses. So retard. And wheel brakes. And then we're looking for the exit. So we'll go and put that taxi light back on.
Virtual 073. Welcome to Edinburgh. Contact ground on 121.755.
So that slight pause there while the head tracking threw me away from the switch twice in a row caused us all of the problems there. So we need to contact back and say contacting ground 121.755, virtual 073, good day. Edinburgh ground, virtual 073, just exiting runway 06, requesting taxi to the gate.
Virtual 073, taxi to Southeast Gear. Stand 15A via Charlie Lima. Good day.
Edinburgh ground. They haven't given us the instruction on here, have they? Okay, where is it?
Virtual 073, Edinburgh ground, go ahead.
Requesting taxi to parking, virtual 073. It didn't come up, did it? There's a glitch. It's the first serious glitch it's had, to be honest. Or I was supposed to
Virtual 073, taxi to main apron stand 1B via Charlie Alpha Echo. Good day.
There we go. Taxi to apron stand 1B via Charlie Alpha and Echo, virtual 073. Okay, so let's go and have a look at the airport layout. 1B. We want. This isn't the chart we want. We need to go to charts for Edinburgh and taxi, and we want the parking stands chart, please. And here it is. 1B is the far end down the back of the terminal. Okay, that's easy enough. So it's down. If we look here. So we just go and turn the strobes off, we don't need them. Beacon stays on for the engines. Just going to turn off the head tracking now. we could come through here, can't we? We could go along the taxiway to get there. They didn't give us specific instructions. But it pays to keep away from the taxiways next to the runway. Once you've got no intention of going back out there, so we come along here. So 1B is right down the far end. This is where we find out someone else is on our gates, isn't it?
Edinburgh ground, Manchester 321 for video check.
That's 2.
Edinburgh ground, this is Manchester 221, type Cessna 172, requesting IMR clearance.
And this is 1B, and there's somebody parked there, so we're going to park behind them. We're going to block them in.
IFR clearance to Dundee as filed, departure on runway 6, climb to 6,000 feet, departure on 121.205 and squawk 6726.
How close are we, just out of interest? Oh, look at that. Brilliant. Okay, so we are going to jump down into the aeroplane, send head tracking off again, and go to ground and toggle the GPU. And then that allows us to connect ground power to the aeroplane. Then we can pull the engines. So then overhead we can go and turn the pumps off. We can go and turn the oxygen off for the crew. We can turn the ADIAs off. And what else can we do? Going to turn some of the lights off. The taxi light should have come off immediately we pulled up, to be honest. Otherwise we're blinding everybody. Beacon light comes off now. Nav light comes off. The exit lights, the seat belts. And we're pretty much good to go. So we can obviously... I'm going to leave some power onto the aircraft. We haven't got a gate. We're not near the gate, are we? So we would have stairs, and this doesn't simulate stairs at the aeroplane on this version of it. Although we can toggle stairs. Oh, we can. Excellent. So we can then... Can we do a door transit for that? Are they going to bring stairs to us? Well, there's a coach parked halfway through the fuselage. That's handy. Not. Presumably they bring some mobile stairs over to us. I'm not sure how this works. Not played around with it much in the sim. Here they are there, look. They're in the wrong place at the moment. Anyway. Catering, luggage, pushback. Can we do any of that? Toggle chocks. No, it's not going to let us. It's not the best aeroplane in the world. This is the free one though. So I'm not going to complain too much. But the focus of tonight wasn't the aeroplane. The focus was... Yeah, it's made a real mess of it, look. The focus was on doing ATC. So we saw that and it was pretty successful. So SayIntentions really showed us some great capabilities there in doing vectoring and instruction on the way in. And you can see there's our flight plan in. It's very cool. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. And hopefully you took away some... not really lessons for ATC, because it's more just down to experience and learning the patterns of talking. I'm certainly no expert because I don't do it often enough. But yeah, it's great fun. SayIntentions gives you a really great kind of toy box to go playing with, talking to ATC with no pressure. And then obviously you can take it up to the next level of talking to real people. So if you wanted to join somebody like MyAir on the internet, if you search for their Discord server, MyAir, you'll be able to find them. I'll try to put a link in the notes of the video for it.
Edinburgh ground.
Let's go shut ATC down. Yeah, if you I'll put some links in the notes of the video. So if you want to talk to real people doing a relaxed version of ATC, my fantastic for that. And then obviously VATSIM. The advantage of things like SayIntentions over VATSIM is that SayIntentions is fully staffed all the time, all over the world. Obviously it's virtual people, so it's not quite as good as real people, but that does mean that they maybe are more consistent, which is a good thing when you're learning, because you're not having to deal with personalities as well as the instructions. But yeah, and there's kind of less pressure, isn't there, talking to what you know is a pretend computer person that may be making a mistake. So it can make that fun. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. See you again soon. Take care.